I really didn't want to be just another of many creators who have switched from creating their usual content in order to add more to the current Black Lives Matter activist pipeline. However, I think that I've got a different point of view than many of those creators share, and I'd like to discuss it. So, for the sake of allowing anyone who does not want to deal with the political subject on a non-political channel, I'm going to tag and label this video correctly and give fair warning now. This video will discuss politics. So there. If you want to click out now, I don't blame you. If you stay, thanks. I appreciate it. So, one of the things that has gotten on my nerves the most is that in order for your opinion to be taken seriously on the subject of Black Lives Matter, is that you have to prove your worthiness of being listened to. So I'll go ahead and put it there right now. Even though it's honestly no one's business, I am biracial, black and white, and was raised primarily by my black mother. I identify as black. I am black. I'm also disabled and am a lesbian. So there. Check out my diversity card. I got bingo. I think we've all heard about Jenna Marbles, amongst other famous YouTubers who have been struck with the case of cancel culture. And I'd like to speak about why exactly it was unnecessary for her to leave YouTube and why cancel culture in general is just not good. So, number 1, cancel culture. Our definition of what is acceptable and what is not has changed drastically in the past few years. This has created a period of growth for many people, as their concepts of what constitutes respect and notice have changed as well. In the 2000s and 2010s, a lot of not-so-great behavior went unnoticed. Many movies had humor that centered around homophobia, transphobia, and racism that just wouldn't fly today. And a lot of that attitude was reflected through social media and other behaviors. So what happens is, people find these snapshots of the past and then attempt to judge a person's entire character by a tweet they made from 2010. In Jenna Marbles' case, it led to her canceling herself in order to avoid the fallout. So by excusing herself from the platform, she was able to avoid the worst of cancel culture while still keeping her character intact. I hate the concept of cancel culture as a whole because it makes it hard for people to grow. People aren't allowed to grow as people because the moment that they admit to doing something wrong in the past, they're judged as still being the exact same person who made that mistake. It's better to just acknowledge that you made a mistake, apologize, and move on, rather than shut down a person completely. This is just another symptom of the rise of purity culture rather than on real growth. After all, what's more realistic? Being a perfect paragon of moral purity or becoming a better person? Number 2, faux activism. I am so tired of social media. Beyond the obvious negative connotations that excessive social media use carries, social media right now is clogged with pro-Black Lives Matter posts. Not a whole bunch, only a few people seem to actually make their own posts, so we've got like 5 or 10 popular posts on everyone's Instagram stories. While information is power and all that, the way that it's being used isn't very effective. We know about Breonna Taylor. We know about how messed up police violence is. We know about the Black Lives Matter murals and autonomous stones and the conspiracies behind it all. But is this repetitive circulation actually useful? Potentially, sure. But it also serves to become very grating on potential supporters. And social media warriors don't really help all that much. The prevalence of Black Lives Matter narratives on social media also brings to light that no one has any real working solutions. No matter what stance you take, there are arguments before and against that course of action. For example, defunding the police. In theory, it sounds great. However, there's still institutional racism and mistreatment of patients through social work. So sending social workers to deal with mental health problems doesn't entirely work. Not to mention the money shifted from the police department doesn't come from where we want it to come from, being excessive weaponry or something, but from places like sex trafficking forces. On paper, we have ideas. But in practice, there have been a lot of shootings and deaths during this movement, as well as looting and other violent behavior that ultimately is aimless and serves to undermine the ideals that spurn the protest forward. What solutions do we really have that will really work right now? Because as it currently stands, it seems like the majority of people that are just posting and reading books on white fragility without actually accomplishing anything of substance. Number 3, lack of release. One of the most annoying things to me right now, the most annoying, if I'm being specific, is that you aren't allowed to take a break. All forums are full of activism, be it Tumblr or Twitter or Instagram. I use social media as a form of distraction from my own life. I want to go on Tumblr to look at illustrations of characters from The Witcher, or silly headcanons about Twilight characters, or shitposts my parents do not understand. What's happened is literally every blog I follow has started to reblog and post Black Lives Matter posts instead of the usual content. And this is fine. It's your blog and it's up to you what you do with it, but it's still very aggravating that after I ride the MARTA and pass by protesters and walk home and see the billboards and flyers and stands in the front yards and talk to my dad who wants to argue about the basis of Black Lives Matter arguments, that I can't just go online and look at something stupid and silly and then relax. So quite obviously, I try blacklisting and blocking posts. I don't look at my friends' stories and I try to stay in my own little self-contained bubble. But then people don't want to tag. They don't want to allow the luxury of avoiding what can be argued to be a trigger. Asking for accurate tagging to avoid said activism burnout, it's often met with suspicion and rudeness, despite, activism burnout being a common and recorded phenomenon. It's tiring. It is tiring as hell to have to be switched on all the time, hearing all that negativity and feeling all that anger, and then when you ask for a break, you get, it's not politics, it's a human rights issue. Yes, sir, it is, but it is also very political, and it's angry, and I am tired. And I should not have to have the race card for you to understand that. So, I just want to close up this video with a quote from a little essay I had to read for class recently, from How It Feels to Be Colored Me by Zora Neale Hurston. But I am not tragically colored. There is no great sorrow dammed up in my soul, nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not mind at all. I do not belong to the sobbing school of Negrohood who hold that nature has given them a low-down, dirty deal, and whose feelings are all but about it. Even in the helter-skelter skirmish that is my life, I have seen that the world is to the strong, regardless of a little pigmentation, more or less. No, I do not weep at the world. I am too busy sharpening my oyster knife. And this is where we part, dear viewers. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I understand that my opinion may not be yours, and I don't mind defending it. However, I'm just not interested in that extra stress, so argue all you want, but please be nice. Till next time.